And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. Well, conversations as we build up to the WRC Safari Rally. Remember, it's 3 days to the start of the event, so it revs off at the KICC. But on Wednesday, we've got shakedown happening in Mbuthia. That's where the drivers go test their cars, and they go to extreme limits to find out how they're going to be ready for that event. And there's something special happening at Shakedown this year, so we'll keep that under wraps. You'll only find out about it on KBC Channel 1. And we've had from Collins Mbuthia celebrating his 24 years playing in national team colors consistently, year in, year out. So, and now, let's move on and talk about the youngsters, because in 2 weeks' time, Machakos is going to be a buzz with representatives from all across the country, and we've got different sports that are going to be played, and this is Term 1 games. We will start with basketball, 15th rugby, you've got hockey, athletics, cross country, handball and swimming, and that has got to be taking place. And so we know that Eastern region at the moment is very busy. We know our schools close just after the Easter weekend. The teachers, who are basically the people who are organizing this, will be back to planning for their regions and also for the country. And to speak about the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association Games, we've got Moses Mbuthia, who's the secretary of the Nairobi region. Mbuthia, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I know you put on many hats, if we were so to speak.
Yes.
And you see, we've just spoken with Collins here. He's just come back from Ghana, the African Games. Just give us, because you are also there with the beach volleyball team, just to give us an experience.
Yes, this time round, though that is not the topic today, we were also with the beach volleyball there. We didn't do very well. Remember, last time we had a silver medal, and countries are really investing in beach volleyball. Other than that, there were so many other off-the-cuff stories. I met my nephew, that is Kimathi Lawrence, the son of the former president who ruled for 19 years. And he was very happy to be associated with the Kenyan because he has a Kenyan name. Remember, his father named him after the late Dedan Kimathi, happened to be my uncle. But that will be a story for another day. Okay. Now, back to what you've just said, I want to say Ghana was perfect. And I want to say the people of Ghana are super because they are very hospitable. And as you've said, today we are zeroing in on secondary school. I would rather go there now.
Let's talk about secondary schools, and because it's the Term 1 games that we are dealing with. So, for example, the Nairobi region, let's talk about the competition, and let me just touch sport by sport. Yes. We see Pangani girls come back and claim what they had has been considered for a very long time.
Very true.
Their own. Just give us the experience from the hockey.
Yes. In a nutshell, we had a very superb finals for the games, starting with athletics, where even Arirota Central Secondary School is back. And if you look at that list, the top schools that do well in academics are also the same schools that are also doing well in sports. You've just mentioned Pangani. If you look at what number they were, nationally, you realize that they were number 1. I want to thank Madam Florence, the chief principal of the school. I want to thank the chief principal of Nairobi School. Nairobi School were number 1. If you look at it, that one, the matters are hockey. If you look at rugby, you realize the Nana School was number 1. I want to thank Mr. Kimei, the chief principal. If you look at also a school that is not doing very well, Dagoretti, they maintained in basketball. They also don't do badly in academics. And Highway, Hospital Hill, Dagoretti mixed. And I want to say that the games were done very well. We want to thank our regional director of education for providing the resources, and the chief principals of Jamhuri High School and Starehe Boys Center, Mr. Jiri and Mr. Juma. They did a wonderful job. And boys and girls were able to enjoy the facilities, and even other sponsors who came in on board, like the water from Coca-Cola and what have you. Maybe we shall be discussing that one as we go on. The question was, Pangani is back. Very true. Pangani, for many years, they had won the national title.
Yes.
Not the regional title. That time, they were under a gentleman by the name of Query. And I want to thank Madam Florence once again for making sure that the girls are also doing studies and they're back on field. The girls did very well because you had zeroed in on Pangani. They did very well. And they stopped a very strong team called Mweki. And Mweki had invested heavily on hockey. But the penalty shootout stopped Mweki from going ahead. And Pangani, they are equal to the task. Don't forget, the last year, the title was won by Hillcrests. and they were a bit late in coming to Eldoret because they had to use a plane, and that morning there was fog in Eldoret and they did not make it. That's why we didn't perform well at the national. But that's a story for another day.
Well, everyone knows that, yes, at times when the weather does that. And very interesting, just taking a look at this. Hillcrest, where are they?
Well, they were there. The boys were there. They did very well. They were stopped by Nairobi School.
Yes. Because I can see the Hillcrest boys here.
Yes.
From Langata.
I think
the girls,
the management of Hillcrest might have been annoyed by the action of last year, and they were not happy themselves because that school would have done very well. And I think I don't want to speak for them. So this time round, they were not featuring much, but the boys were there.
Lenana Jamhuri School have the two schools that have dominated boys hockey in Nairobi, but this time around went to Nairobi School. What's the change here?
Jamhuri was yesteryears, 90s, when Akatsa was there. But they have been overtaken by other schools like, as you've said now, Nairobi School, Upper Hill, they've been a force to reckon with. Hillcrests have also been a force to reckon with. And I want to thank Mr. Juma because he's also back with that same hockey that you're talking about. But this time he went to the final with basketball. So I want to thank a young man from Nairobi School called Frederick Othiambo, who is doing a very good job. He's the secretary of Westland Sub-County, and he has also been coaching that team. He's gotten support from his chief principal, Mr. Maina, and he has been able to wire up all the teams in Nairobi, the big house, not forgetting that Highways Secondary School had also a very strong team. So in a nutshell, I want to say Nairobi School did their bit. They did not just use the hockey stick. They also used what is between their ears, and they were able to do this.
Well, a lot of brain. They say if you go to play hockey, you've got to use a lot of brain for you to deliver that. Basketball girls, Buruburu girls are continuing their domination, and let's just think, but also let's take a look at and remember that Western are waiting for them.
I will tell you one thing. Buruburu been a force to reckon with in basketball for many years, during the time of the former principal, Madam Kimei, Mr. Obingo, who was behind it during when the game's teacher. And now we have a gentleman by the name of Mr. Otieno. Mr. Otieno and the new principal, they have worked on that team very well. And they were able to stop very strong teams. Soweto, that does very well in volleyball. They are back now in basketball. And they were stopped at the semi-finals by Buruburu. But if there is any team that Buruburu was fearing, was that team, Soweto. Then there is the school from Kibra, that is Olympic High School, a force to reckon with. And this fear, and of course Our Lady of Mercy from South B, these teams created fear for Buruburu, and Buruburu had to go out of their way, and they trained hard, and that's why the lady and the gentleman, Mr. Otieno, emerged on top. Western, we are waiting for you. That's what we can say.
Okay, Western, look out for that Chigoi. And Musugu, make sure you prepare, because Mbuthia has simply said this is going to be an extremely tough time for everyone who's going to be there. Now let's move on and talk about boys basketball. Dagoretti High School, Mheshimiwa Orero.
Yes.
He left teaching. He's now MP Kibra.
I don't think he has really left teaching because he was our chief guest.
No, once a teacher, always a teacher.
Yeah, he's the one who gave us trophies for the winners.
But we know he's now still a public employee.
And he's been the power behind both Dagoretti. Remember, he was in Dagoretti and Upper Hill. And the teachers have been emulating him, and they don't want to stop that Orero legacy. At this point, allow me also to thank him for whatever he did, and he came full force during the finals. And Dagoretti, you have said, Orero was there, he left a legacy. And Mr. Cairo now, who is the chief principal, have said, I'm not going to stop it. He's been very supportive, and with a gentleman called Emmanuel Okuna, they have worked very hard to maintain that team. Though it was not easy, because Juma, who is the chief principal, Jamhuri, they were able to pull a surprise. In fact, at the beginning of the game was 10-0 in favor of Jamhuri. But of course, experience is the mother of everything. They were able to up later.
Well, handball, this is another sport, and Dagoretti mixed now taking the girls.
High Ridge.
And
yes. Yes, the Great Mixed, the L-season team, I think they took over from us, Jogo Road, because after some time they were able to beat us, and after that they have now dominated in hardball team. This is the team of my chairman, that is Mr. Maurice Okumu. Mr. Okumu has been consistent, and the girls are good to go. Last year they didn't do very well at the nationals. I know very well the principal was involved in a number of meetings as the first vice chairman national, but I hope this time around he'll be there for his team. So Highridge also from Westland, they did very well under Madam Otom. And I think, to me, you never know what next year holds for Highridge.
Well, very interesting, because we are going to be talking about next year, because next year is going to be the start of something else in the next 2 years. Yes. Handball boys, and what are the prospects? Knowing very well that Nyanza and Hospital Hill, here they are, they're defending champions.
Yes.
So that means you're taking two teams.
No, we no longer have that rule nationally these days. It is stopped after some time. We only have the winning team. It doesn't matter whether you are the defending or not.
You've taken the path of the World Cup.
Yes,
FIFA World
exactly.
Cup.
It is you win at your own region. If you don't, you have no business going to the national, because you're going to lower the standard. So Hospital Hill, the defending champion nationally, defending champion in Nairobi, but for 3 seasons, they have met Highway, and they were beaten by Highway. And I want to thank Mr. Irongo for his job. These two teams are playing at the National League of Kenya Handball Federation, and they have been meeting all through. And if there was a worried man during that day, it was Mr. Bunyasi, the principal of Hospital Hill Secondary School. When he won, he could not believe it. Actually, he was saved by his own Gori, the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper told the principal, yes, they have beaten us. Those were tournament. This one is going to the national. And true to his words, the goalkeeper was able to save a number of goals from Highway Secondary School.
Rugby 15s, and in the 7s is played in term 2, yes. 15s in term 1.
Yes.
Lenana, former national champions, but what's the whole story that you feel Nairobi should get right?
Well, Lenana School 1, they have one advantage of the alumni, because they keep disturbing them. If you don't do X, we are not going to be happy. And Mr. Omukuti, who is the games teacher, together with the chief principal, Mr. William Kemei, they had to actually succumb to some of the forces that were coming from the old boys. And they were able to deliver big time, because Upper Hill are the defending champions, and they were beaten 1 point. It was 6-5. And
wow, 2 penalties, 1 try.
Exactly. And if you were there, and the 2 principals were there, Mr. Mbuthia from Upper Hill and Mr. Kimei, they were all there. And I can tell you, it was not easy. In fact, what we are doing now, we have decided to set up a committee where we shall be having a psychology team to work on some of these games teachers and teachers, because some of them, I can tell you, and I don't want to say it over the TV, they had to shed their tears. It was that painful.
No. I mean, it's just sports, and we say, like the senator for Uasin Gishu said, some of these things, you don't carry them in the heart, put them
in the lungs.
Weka kwa lungs.
That's what we shall do in future.
It's weka kwa lungs, and it's also developmental sport. Because they are at the formative stage of their careers.
Yes.
And now this comes now to the organization, and every year, as secretaries, you all come together.
Yes.
And meet before all teams arrive. Just take us back to, because Kakamega did, when Kakamega hosted the term 2 games last year.
Yes.
I don't think we had witnessed an explosion of school games like that.
It has never happened, and I can tell you for sure, even the stadia didn't manage to host everyone. That's why you are seeing them on top of trees. And our work as secretaries, under the leadership of our patron at Jogo, we have our patron, together with the Secretary General and our executive officer, we normally visit the venue 2 weeks before the action. And this time around, it will even change a bit, because we have the trials for the cross country.
Oh yes, the International Schools Federation.
So first we shall do our trials in Nakuru. That is underway. It's being managed by Mr. Wambua. and Mr. Gekonyo, they are on top of things. They are doing that. They'll have to go, I mean, we shall have to go to Nakuru the day after tomorrow and up to Friday. Thereafter, we come, the secretaries, we shall move straight to Machakos to go and do the inspection. The Eastern Province have already done the activities there. So that makes our work easier. So ours is to go and iron out those things that we believe that are not going to be proper. Because unlike other federations, allow me to amplify some activities, some good thing done by KSSSA. And that's why for many years, under your own PH, we have the Soya Award. For many years, secondary schools have won that title because of super organization. We treat it as a curriculum. It is not extra anymore. And for that reason, supervision and doing everything to the letter, that has to be done by the ministry. And so we secretaries from all over the country, the guys you're talking about from Western, that is Quinto, Kierie, we have Madam from Central, name it, we all meet and make a quick decision, a good decision, of course supervised by Jogo House.
And this is where it comes in, for example, now, when I want to think of a sport like swimming.
Yes, yes, we forgot that.
Swimming, just mention that.
Yes, swimming, I was there personally at Aga Khan, where we had the selection of the team. And unfortunately, quite a number of international schools were doing their exams, like ISK. But we have told the subcommittee working on the team to make sure that we have, you call them green card, where we shall have all these students again meet and concretize everything that they have and come up with a very refined team. Because if we are not careful, we are not just going to lose at the national. We may end up losing at East Africa. For the first time, we lost swimming, one of the whatever swimming at the East Africa. So we are not taking it casually anymore. We have given the responsibility to Mr. Muli, Madam Winnie Kamau, and there are other people there to make sure that we have those students who are not there. They're given green card, tested, and so by the time we go for nationals, we would like to hear that we have our best in Nairobi go to the national in Machakos. Don't forget we have JC, the junior secondary. We're also telling them to do the same because we do not want to lose even at that level. Because after JSS, they come to us. So we are synchronizing everything. And maybe I may not be able to give all the facts because I might as well be telling my secretaries they work against me. Yes.
No, the competition is good. So let's just now talk about something else. At times we've had cases and we get the reports.
Yes.
And eventually a story has to be told.
Yes.
How you take care of the integrity of the sport in case of appeals and or protests or appeals.
I want to say this time round we were protest free. And to me, that is a plus because we started at the sub-county level. We had 11 sub-counties, and they did their bit. They screened the student at that level, and they came up with a clean bill of health. By the time we were meeting at the region, there were no madoadoa, there were no, sorry to use that word, there were no taints of any irregularity. And as you have said, sometimes integrity counts. You can imagine being taken to a jury to be discussed that you have an eligible player. It is very sad, and we have told the teachers that this time around it will not just be the teacher, it will also be the principal. So I think they have been able to adhere to those regulations, and we have come up with a new system.
Okay, what would be the sanction on a principal?
Well, the TSC and the Jogo House will take care of that. I do not want to really overemphasize on some of the things that will be discussed at that level. But we're not causing fear anyway. But why don't you do a clean thing? I mean, why we are winning at the global level, at the international level, is making sure that we have the light edge. And I can tell you, for example, Uganda, they'll beat us at East Africa. But when we come to the federation, they can't beat us. Why? They've been fielding students from DRC, from South Sudan, name it. Not that those countries cannot be able to do that. The best thing we can do is to incorporate the DRC, have it in East African Games. South Sudan, they're already there. So to me, I think I want to speak for Nairobi. We agreed and took an oath that nobody will be caught on the long side of the blanket.
And actually, you make a very strong claim about the lack of integrity at the East African level. What would
I know you talked
Fiasa?
to Mugisha one-on-one. And even the last time we had an interview here, you did.
Yeah.
Sometimes it becomes overwhelming. I can actually exonerate some of these officers, but you know, when you cheat yourself. I have given you a good example. You come up with a very strong East African team, then at the end of the day, nationally, you're beaten. Why? Those young ones will go back to their country. They'll go back to DRC. They'll go back to South Sudan. So when it comes to the national event, then you wonder why we are not winning. Okay. So it has its own repercussions.
Now, this is the biggest challenge.
Yes.
I mean, it's a challenge that anyone would love to have.
Yes. Transition
from the current 844 system to the KBC system. How is this going to be managed? Because I think I realized that junior secondary schools are now under the Kenya Primary Second.
Yes,
KP.
They're being funded by.
They're being funded by the Primary School Sports Association for the games.
Yes.
But
they'll be done where the secondary schools are doing the activity.
Okay.
The whole idea is they have to learn from the secondary school. And after that, because they will be integrated, I mean, they will now move to secondary school once they are through with that stage. Policy issues, I may not be able to talk in details because we have experts from Jogo House. Yes. And ours, as you've been told, you will do it alongside the junior secondary school, but the funding is coming from primary school. So these games are not under Mbuthia, for example, in Nairobi. They are under Mr. Mboy and Karanja, who is the secretary and the chairman. And ours is to make sure that we assist them. So I think I would stop there. Matters policy, we leave it to Jogo House.
Let's just talk about from a sporting side, because yes. You also, I mean, you can use, for example, the other hat you have from the volleyball side.
Yes, yes.
We are talking about probably 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
Grade 7.
Yes, yes.
And no, sorry, 12, 13-year-olds.
Yes.
Getting involved in sport probably with 16-year-olds. How do you want to see this transition happen?
Well,
for JSS and senior secondary?
They have burnt midnight oil trying to look at all these things, and I really want to thank them. And the whole idea is we cannot afford to mix the two. We don't want injuries. Just like it happens in Egypt, where we have under 9, under 11, under 13. This is an opportunity where now we have this exposure. And to me, I would take it positively. That now we almost have those age gap properly, and the fruits will be gotten later, not now.
So that's something for about 2 years?
Sure.
Safeguarding of these youngsters, finally, how do you
that's why we have said that they follow under primary school, because they know better, because they know how to handle those whatever at that tender age. I want to thank the whole team, and also mention this one has been discussed at a higher level, and even our regional director. And I'm sorry, he allowed me to say that he did not manage to attend our activity. He lost his dad, and we say Paule to Madame Maggie Lesuda, you lost your dad, and we are with you during this moment. And we did well when you are not there, and we followed your words to the letter.
Okay, all right. Asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moses Mbuthia, for being with us. Remember, 2 weeks from now, all eyes on Machakos. So once we are done with Eastern Rally, and Aujua iko hapa to KBC, the next stop will be Machakos, so that we can go see some entertaining basketball, hockey, handball, swimming, athletics, cross-country, and 15s rugby. Thank you. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us over the past 2 hours. My name is Daniel Wahome, the sign language interpreter. This hour has been Len Saudingo. Coming up next is Kurunzi Mashinani with Khalid Abdullahi, followed by our interview program, Tamrini. Have a good day and be blessed.